When most people think of danger in The Lord of the Rings, they picture armies marching, towers burning, and dark lords rising in fire and shadow. Saruman fits that image perfectly. A wizard who raised an army, forged weapons, and openly challenged the world. Galadriel, by contrast, appears almost untouchable, serene, distant, watching from the woods of Lothlorien as events unfold. But Tolkien's world does not measure danger by noise or destruction. So, here's the real question. Who posed the greater threat to Middle-earth? The wizard who openly defied the free peoples? Or the elf who never needed to raise a sword? Why did Sauron never fear Saruman, yet keep his eye fixed firmly on Galadriel? And why did Galadriel's greatest danger lie not in what she did, but in what she chose not to become? Welcome back to the channel. Let's get started.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
At first glance, Saruman seems like the obvious answer. He had an army, he had industry, he had the knowledge of the rings and the Palantiri. From the Tower of Orthanc, he reshaped Isengard into a war machine, cutting down forests and forging weapons on a scale unseen since the First Age. But Saruman's power had a fatal weakness. It was visible, predictable, and ultimately derivative.
You've been busy of late, my friend.
Everything Saruman built was an imitation. His orcs were bred in mockery of Morgoth's creations. His industry echoed Mordor's furnaces. Even his ambition followed a familiar path: domination through force. And Sauron recognized this immediately. Saruman was dangerous to armies and kingdoms, yes, but never to Sauron's throne. He sought the ring, not to destroy it, but to claim it. That alone sealed his fate. From Sauron's perspective, Saruman was not a rival. He was a tool waiting to break.
Leave Sauron to me.
Galadriel, however, came from a very different place. She was not merely an elf lady of the Third Age. She was one of the Noldor who had lived in the light of the Two Trees. She had walked in Valinor. She had stood against the Valar, crossed the grinding ice, and survived the ruin of Beleriand. Her wisdom was not learned. It was earned through ages of loss, rebellion, and restraint. Unlike Saruman, Galadriel did not seek to rival Sauron through force. She understood something he never did. Raw power invites resistance, but influence shapes destiny. Through Nenya, her ring of power, Galadriel preserved Lothlorien as a living memory of the Elder Days. Time slowed. Decay was held at bay. And while Sauron poured his strength into domination, Galadriel quietly built a realm that his corruption could not touch. That alone made her dangerous. Sauron did not fear Galadriel because she might march on Mordor. He feared her because she represented an alternative future. Saruman's victory would still lead to tyranny, just under a different master. Galadriel's victory, however, threatened something far worse from Sauron's perspective: the unraveling of his influence entirely. Where Saruman sought control through imitation, Galadriel embodied resistance through continuity. She preserved cultures, memories, and ways of being that Sauron needed erased for his dominion to become absolute. More than that, Galadriel understood Sauron in a way Saruman never did. She did not underestimate him, nor did she believe she could outmatch him by force. Instead, she opposed him by denying him relevance, by maintaining a realm where his shadow was neither feared nor obeyed. As long as Galadriel endured, Sauron's vision of a world fully bent to his will could never be complete. Saruman never posed that kind of threat. If you enjoyed the video so far, don't forget to drop a like. This is where Galadriel becomes truly terrifying. Saruman lacked restraint. His knowledge outpaced his wisdom. Every step he took toward power bound him more tightly to Sauron's will. By the time he realized the truth, he was already enslaved. Galadriel stood at the same crossroads, and chose differently. Tolkien makes this distinction clear. The greatest power in Middle-earth is not domination, but self-mastery. Galadriel possessed the strength to rule, and the wisdom not to. That made her unpredictable, uncontrollable, immune to corruption in a way Saruman never was.
9, for mortal men doomed to die.
Sauron could manipulate pride. He could exploit fear. But Galadriel had already faced her own darkness and survived it. That is something Sauron could never undo. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Galadriel's character is her apparent passivity. She does not ride at the head of armies. She does not confront Sauron openly. To many viewers, this makes her seem less important than Saruman or Gandalf. In reality, it made her far more dangerous. War would have forced Galadriel to play by Sauron's rules. It would have drawn her strength outward, exposing it to corruption and exhaustion. Instead, she anchored herself. She defended, she endured. Lothlorien became a blind spot in Sauron's vision, a place where his shadow could not fully penetrate, and as long as it stood, his victory could never be complete. Saruman sought to reshape the world. Galadriel sought to outlast the darkness itself. Saruman believed knowledge made him superior. He studied Sauron. He used the Palantir. He convinced himself that understanding evil meant controlling it. Galadriel knew better. She did not need to peer into the Dark Lord's mind to know his nature. She had seen Morgoth. She had watched empires rise and fall. And she understood that evil does not need to be outmatched. It needs to be denied. Saruman tried to beat Sauron at his own game. Galadriel refused to play. When the War of the Ring finally ended, the answer revealed itself not in victory speeches or shattered towers, but in who remained standing. Saruman, once the greatest of the Istari, was stripped of power, cast out, and ultimately slain in obscurity. His voice broken, his authority reduced to bitterness and dust. His legacy collapsed the moment his strength was taken from him. Galadriel's story unfolded very differently. She did not fall because her power was never built on domination. She endured until the end of the Third Age, safeguarded her people through centuries of shadow, and departed Middle-earth by choice rather than defeat. In the end, survival itself became the final judgment, and it was Galadriel who passed it. Saruman was loud, built armies, and sought mastery over others. Galadriel was quiet, built endurance, and mastered herself. That is why she was more dangerous. If Saruman fell by trying to rival Sauron, and Galadriel endured by refusing to become like him, which of them truly understood how evil is defeated in Middle-earth? If you like this kind of video, join the channel and leave a like for more content like this. It really helps me out. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you on the next one.